So it's Connie Thor for week 2 for assignment 2 for the ethical learning environment. I have a presentation ready and I'll be sharing my screen and I'll be talking through it. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so we're starting off with this. When we go into TPE2, which is the creating and maintaining effective environments for student learning. This is just a brief rundown of all of the elements within it for TPE2. And we're mainly focusing on 1 through 5. So I'll be talking about 1 through 5 within TPE2, which is the first one. 2.1 is promote students' social emotional growth, development, and individual responsibility using positive interventions and support, restorative justice, and conflict resolution practices to foster a caring community where each student is treated fairly, respectfully by adults and peers. So this one has a lot. And this one, I would think of it more as, really focusing on that hardcore SEL and what Fresno Unified does was this wheel of choice and everything. And that's really going into the examples I have on there, which is collaborative strategy, setting rules, positively communicate, and giving choices. It's going on with the SEL, like I said earlier, with learning how to build that relationship with the peers by positively communicating and talking about certain things and going on more in depth with that. And then the wheel choice of giving choices, knowing what's the fine line to go over, the boundaries of students, the boundaries of connecting with their peers and the adults and everything. What's that fine line not to go over, and how do we solve these things? So 2.1 is really, really talking about all of those things that really goes in hardcore with the students. While 2.2 is create learning environments that promote productive learning, student learning, encourage positive interactions among students, reflect diversity and multiple perspectives, and are culturally responsive. So when I think about this, I think about all the things of what's happening in the classroom and how you could really get that going. And we create a learning environment. So meaning whether that be we're in the classroom or whether it be online or anything that it is, how are you going to promote and encourage engage students in? And that's really a thing where a lot of teachers like to do you just sit in your desk, but then using the environment, using the classroom to get students to interact, whether that be moving them around or anything, to really have them blend as one and get to know each other more, really gain perspective of the other students by doing this, by giving praises or having them even mentor other students on subjects, math or reading or something. One student could get it, your high students might be able to get it compared to your lows. So have the high tutor the lows, have them help the lows, and do peer mentor. And when you're doing this and you're doing peer editing too, you're showing the class that it's a safe space. No one's gonna make fun of you when we do peer editing. This is just for you to see that, hey, your peers thought this is some of the things that might need to have improvements on. So it's just really going around and you're getting to see it more. That being said, going to 2.3, 2.4, and 2.5. So 2.3 is establish, maintain, and monitor inclusive learning environments that are physically, mentally, intellectually, and emotionally healthy and safe to enable all students to learn and recognize and appropriately address instances of tolerance, harassment among students, such as bullying, racism, and sexism. So this is really where you really want to implement that safe environment to students, letting them know that this classroom is a place that they could be. They don't have to be scared of, that we're going to wipe out all unnecessary bad things that they might have before coming to the classroom. So really, when you want to do this, teachers always have seating charts in the beginning, and we don't really know too much. Then we kind of just get a feel of, this is what we heard last year from this teacher. This is what this teacher told us. This is what the report says. So we don't really know the students too well yet. So coming in the classroom, the students be like, hey, I actually don't work well with that student. Can we change seats with someone else? Being able to be like, yeah, that's okay. Like, you're telling me, you're letting me know right away that we're able to do that, making accommodations for them, changing things for them, um knowing that the student likes this more than this, so okay, I'll probably find some way to make it that we could do that for you, and everything, being adaptable and flexible to students and letting them understand that, hey, I'm here to help you and I'm here to make it better. And when we're also doing this, when students are especially answering questions, other students love to call them out, that's wrong, or anything like that. We want to make sure that students are able to say those things, but then in a really respectful manner that doesn't hurt their peers. But modeling things like, I respectfully disagree with that statement because of this. And then having them modeling and showing that this is the correct way to go about it if you agree with it. And let them know, like, I agree with her statement, his statement, or anything with their answer. And making it a safe environment for the student. Making them feel like it's okay to be in this classroom. It's okay to grow in this classroom. It's okay to learn. And if we make a mistake, it's okay. So like I said, it's really up in that safe environment for students. 2.4 is know how to access resources to support students, including those who have experienced trauma, homelessness, foster care, incarceration, or are medically fragile. So this one, it's a lot. So this one, understanding what support is available and how to use it for those students. And really a lot of examples from this one is, talking to the colleagues on campus, talking to them, what do they know about the school support? Then once they kind of tell you, go to the principal, go to admin, and hey, let me tell me what resources are available for me, for my students if doing this, for my students doing that, and really knowing that what it is that we need to find for the student. And then when you're doing this also, because you know of these things that the students have, whether it be these non-traditional circumstances of these students, working with them, be like, okay, so because they're having a hard time at home, dad is currently being incarcerated, she's not feeling too well, she's feeling very like she feels like she's different from the classroom or anything, having that support and be like, the school offers the support, do you want to take it, I could help you get into that. And they have students who go through this, and just letting them know that it's okay, we're gonna get through it, I'm gonna help you and everything. And so, and also when we're doing this, really talking it with your PLC group and making it into like a learning, a PL, professional learning, talking about it, how to implement things, how could we start doing this in our classroom for the students that might have that but might not talk about it. So knowing how to help every student. And then for 2.5 is maintain high expectation for learning with appropriate support for a full range of students in the classroom. This goes a lot with having norms, the behavior system in the classroom, and character counts. Because when you don't have those set for students, they don't know what to expect, and your classroom is a big mess. And doing this, I know that once you create those norms with students and they know the behavior system in class, what they're supposed to do, what they've done, there's high expectations. You know these things, you're gonna have to enact on it. You can't, are you allowed to do that? No, you're not. We agreed on these terms. And even the school, are you showing the school spirit? Are you showing responsibility, or whatever the character counts may be that they're doing? If you're not showing that, why are we not showing that while we're at school? So really having those high expectations with students, because they could get there, and really letting them know that we're holding you accountable because we know you could get there. So that's it for TPE 2. We're going to move on to TPE 4, which is TPE 4 is planning, structuring, and designing learning experiences for all students. We're going to go ahead and go off with TPE 4.1, which is locate and apply information about students' current academic status, content and standard related learning needs and goals, assessment data, language proficiency status, and cultural background for both short-term and long-term instructional planning purposes. So this one is a lot. You're gonna have to know the students' information, how to get the students' information, and how you're gonna start implementing those in class. So really, a lot of these are know who are your ELs from the previous years, did they pass? Did they get reclassified, or did they not get reclassified yet? Are they still taking the LPAC or the CELT, one of those tests? And then also going to iReady diagnostics. They take those in the beginning of the year. Once you get those information, you really know where your students are at. What grade level are they at? Are they on grade level, or are they a grade level below, or two grade level below? And working with them. If you know the majority of your class is not on grade level, then we have to refresh things a little bit and make them on grade level. So when it goes to really all that, looking at SBAC scores, okay, they did this on SBAC, but the iReady shows this. SBAC might be low, but iReady is really high. So maybe they rush SBAC and iReady, they're doing better. Or SBAC is really high, but then iReady is really low. They rushed iReady. They wanted to get that over with, but they're more than capable. So we're looking where to apply. Maybe start giving them a little challenge in class if they grasp it or not. And going with that, because students, once you know where they're at, you can start implementing the learning goals for them. The student is really low, so we're going to start off with getting them to be a grade level above by the end of the year. So going with little things like they might be a sixth grader, but they have fourth grade reading level. Really having them dissect the text. Going in, what is the text asking us and everything, rather than letting them just go and annotate it by themselves. So that's like the difference of levels, expectations we have once we know we have the student's information. 4.2 is understand and apply knowledge of the range and characteristics of typical and atypical child development from birth to adolescence to help inform instructional planning and learning experiences for all students. So this one is, it kind of goes with 4.1. Because you know their scores and then you're going to apply these learning goals based on their scores. But you're always going to hold them in high expectation, even if they're not on grade level. Had high expectation of them to be able to do what they're doing and move above that. So giving them necessary challenges. They might be fourth grade level. Give them maybe something that is, they might be early fourth, but give them maybe something that's mid fourth, or working between that early fourth and mid fourth, and give them a challenge so they're constantly moving, critically thinking about solutions and going above, so they can hit that line of moving a grade level above by the next year. That's what we always want to do. Move a child a grade level below. You never want them to go backwards. So you always want to make sure that they're having these learning goals. Their learning goal is to get here within a certain amount of time, frame within a year. Within that year, we're going to start implementing short and long-term learning goals with it. And that's going to go with TPE 4.3, which is design and implement instructions and assets that reflects interconnectedness of academic content areas and related student skills, development and literacy, mathematics, science, and other disciplines across the curriculum as applicable to the subject area instruction. So this is what I was talking about, the short and long-term goals, learning goals. And when you're doing this, when you're doing the short-term goals and to reach the long-term goal, you're giving students activity-based that are necessary for them to reach that long-term goal. So then when you're doing all this, you're planning ahead, and you have to have a curricular calendar. Planning ahead on what you can do to help the students. And then adjusting that as you go. This didn't work out, so we got to go backwards a little bit because he's or she is not understanding this. And really using the short-term goals to get to the long-term goals. Adjusting anything you need to get to it. And understanding that that student couldn't get there because of this reason, or you just couldn't get there because it was a little slower day compared, or a faster day, you were able to move past that. Maybe you're a couple of days ahead, so you probably just want to move them on to the next, or do review to see they fully grasp it. So 4.3 is really about designing and implementing that instruction for them. 4.4 is plan, design, implement, and monitor instruction, making effective use of instructional time, maximizing learning opportunities, provide access to curriculum for all students by removing barriers, providing access through instructional strategies that include appropriate use of instruction technology, applying principle of UDL and MTSS, use developmentally, linguistically, and culturally appropriate learning activities, appropriate modifications for students, and using community resources and everything. So this is really going with the scaffolds and extended instructions. And when you're going with scaffolds, you're doing multiple things to get the students there. You're checking for understanding. Do they get it or not? How can I do this? Exit ticket, maybe performance task, something to see if they're understanding the lesson being taught. Giving them opportunities to practice oral language in the classroom setting. So really allowing them to use their voice to say things out. This is the answer. I found that this was more helpful or anything. And while doing this, really also it's gonna go into 4.5, but allowing them to show different examples and really going into and how they could use all these differentiated learning in 4.5. So promote student success by providing opportunities for students to understand and advocate for strategies that meet their individual learning needs and assist students with specific learning needs to successfully participate in the transition. So these could be students with IEP, IFSSP, ITP, or 5-4 plans. And when you do this, you're modifying for the students, whatever they need. They might need more time. They might need to work alone when it's a group project. They might need to work in a group when it's individual or something that they might, adjusting it for their needs, providing students different examples. Maybe that you didn't understand the standard way. So we're gonna do it in 3 different ways, and whatever they feel fits and they grasp better, we're gonna work with that. Extending their time. They might work a little bit slower than other students. Okay, so we're gonna give them maybe 10 extra minutes, a couple more extra minutes, something, so they don't feel like they're rushed. And when you're doing this, you're just using different methods. You're using differentiated learning. And that's what it really goes with 4.3, 4.4, and 4.5 is understanding your students and building upon that differentiated learning if needed, and then making sure that it goes back to 2. TPE 2 with creating that safe environment for them. So classroom practices with TPE 2 on the proficiency scale 1 through 4, with 1 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. I would say in the classroom that how I am, I'm about a solid 3 with TPE 2. I am able to go on and work with the students. I do expect them to be able to do certain things that I know they're capable of. And I always love to have a safe environment. I love students that could talk to each other without being scared, could share with the class without being threatened, could be confident in their answer without having to be scared that someone's gonna say they're wrong. I love promoting that positivity in the classroom, and that wrong answers are okay. That's where we learn. And so having that really positive, safe environment, promoting SEL, the wheel of choice, and really going on with the classroom about that, because once they know, everything goes really smooth. So I'm not a 4 yet, but I'm getting there at a 3. So with class practice at TPE 4, with the same thing, proficiency 1 through 4, I would say I'm at a 2 with this one. As I'm barely just starting off, I'm learning that I'm able to start to locate things and apply information that I know about the student into a certain amount of things. I know that my students are mostly 2 to 3 grade level behind. So I know that I'm not going to be using really big vocabulary words that they aren't unaware of. I will use it, but then I'm not going to use it without giving them the meaning of it. Or I'm not going to use it at all and use maybe a 5th grade vocab level instead, 4th grade vocab, because I'm currently with 6th graders. So maybe using the lower levels of vocabulary so they could grasp the concept and then start slowly adjusting 6th grade content in and have them move with that. So knowing how to start at their level and move them up slowly. I'm not just going to push 6th grade on them and expect them to understand it. So that's where I'm still struggling with, is how to, design a lesson that could fit for all students without and implementing differentiated instructions for them. It's really, really hard to do that, but at the same time still make it sixth grade standard, but with a little bit of fourth or fifth or whatever it may be that they're at. So because I'm not too confident in doing all those things yet, I feel like I'm just at two at that. And going on, so with there's always room for growth. With TPE2, I need to be firmer with students and not back out of the rules and being implemented, the classroom norms and stuff. It's easy to forgive, it's easy to let a few students slide. I caught myself doing that a couple of times, but I just need to make it clear that we make these classroom norms and behavior rules in the beginning with the students, and they agree to it, and we need to stick with it, because if we start letting them slide, they're gonna understand they could get away with it. So just understand that that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stick with it. We're not gonna let students slide unless it was for a very, very good reason. But other than that, we're not gonna let students slide. We're gonna hold that high expectation for them. Another one is respecting differences within the classroom when it comes to doing things differently. Students may do different things differently at home compared to me. I just gotta allow them to show me how they do things and the process behind it. I can't make judgment like, oh, that's wrong because it's different for me. A lot of times we do that without realizing that. Like, if they cook food a certain way, they're like, oh, that's wrong. No, that's your way of cooking it. Okay, it's different, but I'm not gonna say anything bad about it. For TPE4, is consistent with implementing short-term goals to reach long-term goals. Like I said, I'm only a 2 at TPE4. I'm still in the process of learning how to even design it and get to those goals. I've had done maybe one short-term goals with students, one or two short-term goal. I haven't had it where I had to set out to where I want the students to reach yet for that long-term goal yet. I know the long-term goal is to be a grade level beyond what they are, but getting there with the short-term goals is something that I still need to set up. So maybe planning instruction ahead of time. It's hard as I'm still really new into the sixth grade curriculum. So I'm reading as I go. I'm reading as I go. So it is a little bit slower for me, and I'm adjusting. So hopefully I could adjust faster by the time we get to the middle of the year. I could have everything ready for the rest of the year and have it be gone and implemented with these goals that students can reach, and start implementing them in. Start letting them know you reached this goal, congratulate them, and then now it's time to go to and really holding high levels of expectation for them. Like, this was one goal, yes, we did it. Now let's do the next one. So another one was showing students more than one way of doing things. Differentiated learning. I am really bad at this. I'm so used to. I grew up with there's one way to do it and one way. So in math and reading, so I'm so used to that. And so going to the classroom, seeing that students are not all on the same level really, really helps me now. But it's a struggle to get out of that one way to do it. Different ways to do it. If students, I'm used to the standard long division. If students learn a partial quotient, allow them to do that. And if we can move them to standard algorithm, it's okay, but we can't, and they learn it that way. Okay, that's fine. Let's show a more efficient way of the partial quotient way to do it for them. So when really giving the students different methods to solve it, allowing them to use methods they learned from their previous level and bringing it into their sixth grade, and really understanding and adhering to it and being like, well, this is the standard, so you have to keep to it. If they learn it a different way and it's working for them and they're able to get the answers and grasp the concept and everything, it's not a shushing process. We should accept it and everything. So that is something that I got to keep allowing myself, because I'm seeing students do math really different than what I'm used to, and they're understanding the math. So I'm like, that's different learning. They're showing me different methods and everything, methods at their level. So it's really great to see that, and that's just where I gotta be open-minded about and really allow myself to grow. So to summarize it all up, implementing these instructional practices and my goals will promote a safe and equitable learning environment by ensuring that students' needs are being met. So therefore, students can start to understand the classroom dynamics and become one with the classroom. Like I said, really making it a safe environment for students to feel comfortable, to stay mistakes, to really say the answer, engage and participate without having the fear of, oh, I'm wrong, they're going to make fun of me. So really together building that classroom community and helping one another out. Not only this, but students be able to learn in many ways to benefit them. Like I said, with the differential learning, as a teacher, I would have access to information to get them a grade level or move up, to be on grade level or move up the grade level. So I should be able to give them the resources they need. And if they teach it to me a certain way that they grasp it, embrace it, and just make them reach that goal of moving a grade level and beyond. And so that's really something really big that I got from all these is once you start implementing these instructional practices, they become very, very good for you as a teacher and into implementing what's needed for the students. And it only benefits the students and the teacher as they're both learning and they're both growing from everything that is happening with the learning, with the teaching, and honestly, with growing with each other in the classroom. So that's all I have for this week, and I only have two references that I really, really focus on, which is the California Teacher Performance Expectations and the Yono Solano BTSA induction program, which they were talking about the evidence for the CSTP4 planning, structure, and designing, because I wasn't familiar with that. So I really had to research about that more. And so I hope you enjoy this and have a great time. Thank you.